Hi, I'm Antonio Neves. During elections, you see and hear a lot from candidates on television, the radio, and now more than ever, on the internet. But beyond the cameras and lights and huge rallies, there's a lot more going on. This is what an election campaign looks like here in Northern Virginia and in communities across the country. Campaign workers trying to make one-on-one contact with potential voters. Parag Mehta works for the Democratic National Committee.
The ground war is the thousands and thousands of volunteers who in the final few days before the election are out in the streets, knocking on the doors, at the supermarkets, handing out literature, at the train station, registering people to vote. All that effort, we're doing direct person-to-person communication.
It's something that both parties do. Sarah Simmons works to get out the vote for the Republican National Committee.
We have thousands of volunteers coming into phone centers like this one, making millions of phone calls week after week to talk to those voters who are undecided and we know we can reach out to.
Michael Lee Pope works for the Alexandria Gazette-Packet newspaper in Northern Virginia. He says politics is personal.
Person-to-person contact, but more importantly, face-to-face contact, is what is really persuasive in getting people to vote for a given candidate. You are literally asking people for their votes.
Hi. We're neighborhood volunteers.
That contact is organized from campaign offices like this. Jared Leopold works for federal, state, and local candidates.
It's an extraordinarily busy office. We often see people are coming in, making phone calls, making decisions about what we want to do politically, who we want to talk to, who are the people that we need to get out to vote. There's constant activity in the office, which is one of the great things about working on a campaign. You never have a dull day.
At the beginning of a campaign, the local party offices draw up a list of likely targets based on people who voted in the last election. Then they try to contact everyone on the list.
To talk to them about why it's important to support our candidates. And then we have other people who are just preparing all of our data that we get coming in about voters.
The data each campaign gathers is used to target specific types of voters.
If you're a likely voter, you're a 1, right? If you're leaning, you're a 2. If you're undecided, you're a 3. If you're leaning to someone else, you're a 4. And if you're likely to vote for someone else, you're a 5.
McCain and Palin.
Obama.
I'm probably the swing voter. I'm the one on the fence, so I could be swayed.
Barack Obama, definitely.
John McCain.
I haven't made up my mind yet.
The number 3 voters, the undecided, get the most attention. They can expect to hear from the parties repeatedly.
Let's go that way and find 439.
The campaigns send out workers to talk to them face to face. That's how Marianne Cannon has been spending her nights and weekends.
You give a face to the candidate, actually. The candidate can't come out to everybody's house. You are that face. You have to portray that candidate.
Most of the people knocking on doors are volunteers, neighbors talking to neighbors.
If you don't have volunteers, if you don't have grassroots support, you don't have a campaign. They're out there doing the work, giving out literature, knocking on doors. They're at the fairs, they're at the parades. They show the strength of the candidate.
Recruiting volunteers is a critical part of any campaign. People that strongly support a candidate are asked to help. It's how many get their first taste of politics.
I enjoy talking to people, getting out and seeing how American politics works. I mean, the real process of it.
All it takes is to talk to one person. That's all that matters. You change one person's mind, they start talking to other people.
The grassroots effort continues right up to Election Day. Each party works to get their supporters, the number 1 and number 2 voters, to the polls.
We need to have the infrastructure in place to turn out those voters on Election Day and make sure that we actually turn out our 50% plus 1 person to win the election.
Every campaign focuses on get out the vote efforts. This is when we knock on people's doors, make the phone calls, offer rides to the polls, do all those things that make sure that we actually get our votes in on Election Day.
This sort of ground war is being fought across the country. How well the parties mobilize their voters will decide the election. I'm Antonio Neves for the Dot News.